All right, future CPAs, welcome to our deep dive on a topic you absolutely have to know for the LECPA, defective contracts. We're going to kick things off with the first type, rescissible contracts. Let's do this.
So, I want you to think about something. Have you ever seen a deal that looks totally legit on the surface, like all the boxes are checked, but the end result is just super unfair, someone gets seriously hurt financially? Well, guess what? The law actually has a plan for that exact situation. Before we go deep, you've got to see the whole playing field. Here are the 4 horsemen of defective contracts. Think of this table as your roadmap for the next few explainers. See that highlighted row? That's our focus today. Rescissible contracts. Valid, but with a huge asterisk.
Okay, let's zoom in. What's the deal with these rescissionable contracts? How can something be perfectly valid and defective at the same time? Let's break down what makes them so unique.
Here's the key takeaway, and you really need to get this. The problem isn't inside the contract itself. The consent, the object, the cause, it's all good. The defect is external. It's about the bad result, the economic damage it causes someone. So it's valid until a court says, nope, we're canceling this. And that economic damage has a fancy legal name you need to burn into your memory: lesion. Lesion is basically the financial injury you suffer when the price is just way, way off from the real value of the thing. This term, it's the entire reason rescissionable contracts exist.
Now, the law doesn't just say it has to be unfair. It gets super specific. We're talking numbers here. For some of these contracts to be rescinded, the lesion has to be more than 1/4 of the property's value. That fraction, 1/4, oh yeah, you're definitely going to see that again. Classic exam question.
Okay, so we know what it is and how much damage is needed. Now let's talk about the when. What are the actual specific situations where the law says, okay, you have the right to try and rescind this contract?
All right, time for a study hack. This is how you're going to remember the main reasons for rescission, especially when you're under pressure during the boards. Just remember the acronym GACL. G for guardians, A for absentees, C for creditors, and L for litigation. GACL. Let's hit each one.
So the first two, G and A, are all about protecting people who can't protect themselves. If a guardian makes a deal for their ward, or a representative acts for someone who's absent, and that deal makes them lose more than 1/4 of their property's value, the law steps in. That contract can be taken back to prevent that injustice. Next up, C is for creditors. This is when a debtor gets sneaky. They know they owe money, so they sell or donate their stuff to someone else, so it looks like they have nothing for the creditors to collect. This move to rescind that shady contract is called Axion Pollyanna. It's a creditor's last-ditch power move when all other options to collect are gone. And here's a pro tip. The law helps creditors out by creating some shortcuts to prove fraud. You have to know these. First, if a debtor donates property but doesn't keep enough to pay their old debts, the law just presumes it's fraudulent. Same thing if someone who already has a court judgment against them suddenly starts selling off their assets. The law is basically like, yeah, that looks suspicious. And finally, L for litigation. This one's pretty simple, really. If a piece of property is literally being fought over in court, the defendant can't just go and sell it behind everyone's back. Any deal made without the court's permission or without the other party knowing, yeah, that's rescissionable. It keeps the whole legal process fair. Okay, knowing GACL is huge, but it's only half the game. Now we got to talk about the rules, the fine print. How do you actually use this remedy of rescission? Think of these as the 3 golden rules. 1, rescission is a subsidiary action. That means it's a last resort. You can only use it if there's literally no other legal way to fix the problem. 2, you got to be able to restore. If you want to rescind, you have to be able to give back whatever you got. And 3, there's a ticking clock. You only have 4 years to make it happen. All right, team, let's put it all together. This is the final boss round. We're going to do a rapid-fire review of everything. This is the slide you're going to want to screenshot, make flashcards out of. Basically, get this into your brain. Here we go, your ultimate cheat sheet. Status, valid until rescinded. Defect, external economic damage, also known as lesion. Key grounds, GACL. The damage threshold, more than 1/4 for G&A. Nature of the action, it's subsidiary, a last resort. The time limit, 4 years. And remember the key exception. You can't rescind if the property is already with a third person who got it in good faith.
This is everything you need.
Okay, so let's end with this question. We've mastered contracts with external damage, but what happens when the problem isn't the result, but the very beginning? What if the defect is internal, like someone's consent was forced or they were tricked? Well, that's a completely different kind of defective contract. That, my friends, is a voidable contract, and we're tearing that one down in the next explainer. I'll see you there.